8 months, 7 months, we've seen El Salvador go ahead and make Bitcoin legal tender. They seem to not only be supporting it as legal tender, they also are onboarding people via this app that they've built and also this ATM network that they've built. They're mining Bitcoin and kind of really trying to plug their country, if you will, into the Bitcoin network.
Take a look at Bitcoin pulling back today, but holding above that 36,000 level. Bitcoin, though, down 37% over the past month. And our resident Bitcoin baller.
The Bitcoin mining industry is a $22 billion a year industry right now. Bitcoin's going to $1 million a coin, then $10 million a coin. And all the people that believed in Bitcoins for the last decade are going to have the financial wherewithal to create their own companies to do whatever they want, right? And to express their sentiment. It's just not good for the entrepreneurs that compete against the mega caps.
So let me ask this question. We recently have seen a bunch of politicians all start to pay attention in various ways. So we've got on one side, in the United States, most politicians started off abrasive. So, without naming any of them, there's a number that were very concerned about Bitcoin if you go back a couple of years. We then saw, obviously, China go ahead and ban miners and take a pretty abrasive step there. But over the last, let's call it, 8 months, 7 months, we've seen El Salvador go ahead and make Bitcoin legal tender. They seem to not only be supporting it as legal tender, they also are onboarding people via this app that they've built and also this ATM network that they've built. They're mining Bitcoin and kind of really trying to plug their country, if you will, into the Bitcoin network. And then just recently, over the last week or two, we've seen multiple politicians, all at the local level, start to become much more friendly or embracing of Bitcoin. So you've got obviously the mayor in Miami who has been very kind of pro-Bitcoin for a while. You've got Eric Adams, who's the new mayor of New York City. He now leaning in, saying he's going to take some of his paychecks in Bitcoin and some of the stuff should be taught in schools, etc. We've also got two kind of smaller mayors, one in Tennessee and one in, I think, is Tampa Bay in Florida, all kind of leaning into this. How do you look at the intersection of Bitcoin and politicians? And is this just a continuation of like Bitcoin is good for business, and so if it's good for corporations, then it's going to be good for the politicians as well? Or how do you read that situation?
I think that one of the great advantages of Bitcoin is it's money of the people, right? It's money for the people. And the combination of the fact that it's permissionless and it's open, nobody controls it, means everyone can adopt it, everyone can engage in it. And the proof of work network means that you have a large business in Bitcoin mining. And what is Bitcoin mining? Bitcoin mining is like this, it's like your skin. It's the first line of defense of your immune system, right? It's what makes you healthy. The Bitcoin mining industry is a $22 billion a year industry right now. That means that the protocol is creating a $22 billion subsidy for Bitcoin entrepreneurs to go out into the world and find supportive political jurisdictions. $22 billion and per year. So when you think about that, that means that the miners themselves, they have to raise capital, but you see the Bitcoin miners are ripping today in the market, right? All their stocks are up.
Yes.
And they've been very successful. You can take a Bitcoin miner public. You're not going to take a proof of stake validator public, right? One of the big differentiators is the miners. The miners have to use energy and technology, but the miners are also recruiting political capital to the network. And so I think that what you're seeing here is lots of jurisdictions can see the benefit of Bitcoin either as sound money, right? It's, all the holders are political constituency. And I guess we're going to get close to the point where we're going to flip 50% of the electorate, right?
There's going to be a Bitcoiner in Congress. There already are. There's going to be Bitcoiners in the Senate. There already are. And eventually a Bitcoiner will be president. It's not necessarily because they're going to run on just a Bitcoin-only ticket, but they're going to have grown up, they're going to have held the asset, and they're going to become the president of the United States and hold Bitcoin, right?
It's the most Bitcoin's the greatest brand in the history of the world. First observation, it's the greatest brand in the history of the world. What's brand value? Brand value is monetary premium, right? The monetary premium of Bitcoin is $1.2 trillion right now. Name another brand that's worth $1.2 trillion, right? So it's the greatest brand in the world. It's the greatest monetary asset in the world. I mean, I'm not counting the dollar because the dollar is an inflationary asset. It's not an investment. If you pick an asset that you could reasonably expect to protect you against inflation, Bitcoin becomes the most popular one, other than just like random real estate, right?
Yeah.
Just owning land. I guess land was maybe the most popular one, and Bitcoin is that digital property. So how do I buy all these other things in Africa or Asia or anywhere, right? It's a very egalitarian asset, and that makes it politically advantageous, right? I mean, how is it not? What politician would say, I don't want you to own your own house and I don't want you to have economic freedom, right? Right? I mean, so I think that the left and the right can both agree on that. It's pretty clear it's high velocity money, the higher velocity than anything, but it's high velocity asset. It's a bank in cyberspace, but it's a franchise bank. So anybody on earth in any jurisdiction can create their own franchise of the bank. And what that means, right? Paxful or, fill in the blank, every crypto exchange in every country on earth, when they're selling you Bitcoin or exchanging Bitcoin, they're in essence creating, a franchised bank of Bitcoin where they're marketing it. So Bitcoin is spreading through two incredibly powerful franchises. The Bitcoin exchangers, who are the Bitcoin banks, if you will, and it's open and permissionless, right? So you don't have to get a license from the FDIC to have a bank in Egypt that deals in Bitcoin, right? And then it's spreading through the Bitcoin miners. They're the security providers. So the network operators and the bankers are spreading like wildfire everywhere. And who's an example? Right? Well, Square Cash App, right? I mean, that's an example of a Bitcoin bank. PayPal is a Bitcoin bank. Coinbase is a Bitcoin bank. Binance is a Bitcoin bank, right? And when you look at Marathon and Riot and all these Bitcoin miners, they're the other side of the network. So I think that it's inevitable that more and more politicians begin to support the network. Not everyone will, but the game theory of it is such that the more hostile one regime is, the more lucrative it is for another regime, right? It was a benefit to the United States when China banned Bitcoin, right? Cracking down on Bitcoin mining was a gift handed to the West. And I've said it before, I think it's worth $1 trillion, right? And you can see it in the hash rate statistics